This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Welcome to Easy Eats. My name is Chef Yves Dechaine, and today we are in the Greener Villages Learning Kitchen with Jared Scratch, our social media and impact team member, and he is also an avid forager. And we've got you on today, Jared. We've had you on for mushrooms before, but we have you on today for fiddleheads. It's fiddlehead season, so let's talk fiddleheads.
That's great. Thanks for having me on, Chef.
No problem. So fiddleheads, let's talk about fiddleheads. What are they exactly, and give us a little bit of knowledge on how to go about finding them.
Sure. So the fiddlehead that we eat is actually an ostrich fern that's just coming up out of the ground and unfurling. So you want to get it at a stage where it's still young and still tightly curled up. And there are many other types of fern that grow in New Brunswick as well. So you really have to know what you're looking at and make sure it's an ostrich fern.
Again, how can you tell that it's an ostrich fern?
So, well, let's take a look at what we have here. So you'll tell an ostrich fern from other types of ferns because of the smooth stem, and it's got a U shape. So you'll find like celery, it's got a little divot in it.
Okay.
So that's very indicative of the fiddlehead that we're looking at. And the paper comes with a little sheath that as it emerges, and that paper sheath is just on the crown. You won't find it down the stem like you will on other types of ferns. So make sure it's got no paper on the stem, nice and smooth stem with no hairs, a little divot like a celery, and the paper sheath is just on the crown.
Right on. So, I mean, people know fiddleheads, native New Brunswickers or people who forage for food understand that. Where can you find, or what's the best place to find the fiddlehead?
Sure. The St. John River is well known for that. Basically, you want a river that's going to rise dramatically in the spring, so there's a little bit of flooding along the banks.
Okay.
And in those low-lying areas where it floods, that's typically where you'll find ferns like the ostrich fern. And right around the time when you see the trout lilies start to emerge and flower, that's about when you'll see the fiddleheads come up. So
kind of like a marshy type, kind of muskegee type area is where you would find it.
That's right. Just consider the size of the watershed. So if your area is in a highly populated area, you'll just want to be a little bit extra cautious where you're foraging for them. Make sure that the land is clean and not polluted. But if you've got a nice, pristine watershed like I do on my property, then you're less concerned about where you're going to pick.
Well, let's talk about that. You're talking about the watershed and the clean, so and also the St. John. So the St. John runs right through Fredericton. It runs through a couple, or Amukto.
That's right.
It runs through some big major cities. So would you recommend picking them? I know you can find them just down and around, but where would be the safest place?
Well, it's not so much that you want to avoid picking them, but you'll just want to make sure that they're cooked properly. You know, if you're picking, typically what we would gauge as whether you're above the dam or below the dam. If you're below the dam, maybe be a little bit more cautious. If you're picking above the dam, a little bit less to worry about.
Perfect. So when we're talking about fiddleheads, we want to be able to cultivate them, I guess, ethically. So when you see them, you don't want to pick the whole bunch right there. You kind of want to leave some for the following year and things like that. How do you go about picking them without kind of picking up the whole spot? Right.
So when you find a patch, the general rule of thumb with plants is that you want to pick around 10% of what is already growing there. But that being said, within each plant, they also need to be able to photosynthesize to grow big and strong. So you don't want to pick every fiddlehead off of every single plant either. So you want to leave a couple ferns that'll naturally unfurl and allow the plant to continue growing. So I would say leave a couple on each plant and maybe just pick 10 or 20% of what's growing in your area, especially if it's on a public land that other people are picking. If you're fortunate like I am to have them growing on your own property, then you're not as concerned about that. But you still want to make sure that you're not taking everything, that it does have a chance to at least allow a few ferns to unfurl to continue growing.
Okay, so are we the only ones that eat the fiddleheads? Are there other critters that roam the woods that eat them at the stage that we eat them?
Well, deer absolutely will, and it's probably an important food source for them at this time of the year. But there are many other creatures in the woods that will take advantage of that. As they unfurl, they become less appetizing both to humans and to animals.
Okay.
But you'll still find bugs and other critters will make their home, under they'll lay their eggs on the plant, or they'll make their home inside the plant in some way. So, I mean, everything is connected. So there's going to be something that relies on the fiddlehead, the ostrich fern, as it grows as well.
Right on. So, and that just being said, that you want to be ecologically minded, you want to be sustainably minded when you're cultivating this, again, because other people, or not other people, but other animals can benefit from these ostrich ferns or fiddleheads.
That's right. And that goes across the board. Anytime you're foraging for wild foods, just be respectful of your environment, understand your environment, and know that everything else relies on that as well.
How hard is it to pick fiddleheads? I've heard different stories. I've heard guys that I've bought from off the side of the road, just stories about how hard and laborious it is. I mean, if you like it, then I guess it's not really that hard, but walk me through a typical kind of foraging for.
For myself as a gardener, I don't find it laborious at all. It's actually a lot easier than pulling things out of the ground, because you're really just grabbing the top of the fiddlehead and you're just giving it a little snap and then putting it into your basket. Now, I find the hardest part is actually cleaning the fiddleheads once they're picked. So what I like to do is I have this nice contraption here made with chicken wire and the top of a 5-gallon bucket. And I just fill this up about halfway with the fiddleheads, and they've all got that paper sheath stuck to them. That's what you really want to clean off. So I just put them in here, dunk this in the river, give it a good shake around, and all of that paper just comes right off the fiddlehead and floats downriver. So that's, I find, the easiest way to take care of that. Otherwise, you can clean it right in your sink. I would just use a strainer to catch the paper sheath so it doesn't go into your drain and get all clogged up. But yeah, that's basically it. The cleaning is the hardest part. The picking is really not a big job at all.
No, and I find that when I do clean them at home, I give them 3 or 4 rinses just to make sure everything is cleaned up. And again, the way they grow as well, they kind of push out of the earth.
That's
so
right.
You'll find that you'll get dirt and stuff inside the coils as well, right?
Yep, and like I said, bugs also like to make their home inside of wild plants. So just check for, sometimes you'll find like little clutches of eggs or maybe some brown spots. You just want to be able to see those and take them out.
So great information about fiddleheads so far. We'll be back after this short break to kind of tail them and show you how to cook them.
Are you a passionate content creator ready to expand your audience reach? Do you have unique stories, captivating hobbies, or special interests that deserve a spotlight? Rogers TV is here to amplify your voice within the community. We offer you the platform to broadcast your content to a wider audience. And the best part, it's completely free. Don't miss this opportunity to share your vision and engage with viewers. Find out how Rogers TV can transform your content journey today.
We invite you to play What's My Line?
Welcome, Mrs. Baker. Those folks over there need to guess your extraordinary occupation.
Are you an entertainer, Mrs. Baker?
Yes.
Do people come to watch you perform?
Yes.
Do you travel for work?
Yes, I do.
Do you ever wear a special type of costume?
Yes.
Is your job, physical?
Yes, indeed.
Are you a member of a team?
Yes.
Are you a professional baseball player?
Yes, I am.
Created during the Second World War, the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League included 68 Canadians. One of its brightest stars was my mother, Saskatchewan's Mary Bonnie Baker, a pioneer for women in sports.
Welcome back to Easy Eats. Again, I'm Chef Yves Dechaine, and we're here with Jared, our resident and avid forager here at the Greener Village. So we're gonna cook these down. So I'm gonna show you guys the first way I was taught how to make fiddleheads, because when I moved here, fiddleheads, we could find them in Ontario, but they weren't as prevalent and they weren't as popular as they are here in New Brunswick. So I got the crash course from a local who told me this is the way he eats them, this is the way he likes them, and you know what? They're my favorite way to eat them. So what we do is we get our water boiling, and then we're just gonna add some salt to that right there, just like that. And then Jared, can you tell me why we need to cook these? Why can't we eat them raw?
Well, if you don't want to have a bad time, then you should definitely cook any wild foods, really. Anything that's foraged from the environment can carry any environmental contamination or microorganisms. In this case, the real danger is with E. coli. They emerge out of the soil just before we pick them, typically in flood-prone areas, so they tend to carry a little bit higher levels of E. coli just because of that. So as they emerge tightly furrowed, there's a chance that there could be E. coli inside the fiddlehead. So you want to make sure that they're cooked properly to reduce any risk of foodborne illness.
So kind of like that whole assume that they have E. coli, just like you assume that chicken has salmonella.
Absolutely, and that's why it's so important to understand your watershed, to understand what the risk is. Like if you consider downriver St. John, along the river, there is a little bit higher chance of E. coli than say, upriver in the Keswick. So you just have to understand a little bit more about your land and the risk that carries. But like you said, you should just assume that every fiddlehead might carry E. coli and just cook them all with that in mind.
Perfect. So we've got our water boiling. We've got our fiddleheads right here. And what I like to do as well is you'll notice that the tips have the little bit of oxidation on them, so they get a little bit brown. So just to make them nicer, and you can definitely cook and there won't be any ill effect. I just like to kind of pop it off. That way I don't have any extra brown or anything like that. So just kind of really simply, just kind of tip them off like this, kind of like when you're doing your beans or your peas from the garden.
Yeah.
And then all we're going to do now is I'm just going to grab them all and toss them right into this pot right here. And I cook them for probably about 6 to 7 minutes, or until it comes back to a nice hard boil. Mm-hmm. And then we go from there. So we'll let those go for a little bit. And let's talk a little bit more about, is it the ostrich fern the only fern that we can eat like this?
Technically, no. The bracken fern has been foraged and eaten in the past. I think it's less so because there is a small risk of cancer. There's been some studies done that linked eating bracken ferns to stomach cancer. So while you can eat other ferns, the ostrich fern is the tried and true go-to. I would stay away from other ferns that we don't understand as well, and certainly the bracken fern that is linked to possibility of cancer. I would stay away from those.
So, like I said, this is my favorite way to eat it. It becomes a really nice side dish.
That's right.
But what other ways have you made them?
Well, this is how I tend to enjoy them, is just in blanching them, enjoying them with a little bit of salt and pepper and some butter and just a splash of vinegar to add a little bit of brightness and counteract the bitterness of the fiddlehead. I think that is honestly the best way to enjoy them. Another way that my household loves fiddleheads is in a lasagna. If you make it with a nice bechamel sauce, it goes really well that way. But there's many other ways. People enjoy them on pizza and other ways. You can also dehydrate them dehydrating them is interesting because it changes the flavor profile, makes it a little bit more like a seaweed type of flavor, like a nori. So you can enjoy them that way in a different cooking application. If you are using them for things like pizza, I would recommend blanching them first, just to make sure that they do get cooked thoroughly. But yeah, there's so many versatile ways that you could enjoy fiddleheads.
No, that's fantastic. I've made soups, like a cream of fiddlehead soup, in a few of the spots that I used to work, and that turned out really, really nice. But again, I agree with you, just a simple blanch as a side dish.
Yeah.
I also like serving it with salmon. So we'll talk about that a little bit too, is there's salmon in the river.
That's right.
And then there's fiddleheads that go along the shore. So a lot of food pairings are what you find in nature.
That's right. A very classic way to enjoy fiddleheads is with a nice poached salmon.
Absolutely. So those look pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slide these off to the side right here. And then we're going to grab our frying pan. Just like this. We'll use the same heat. Like that. And then we're just going to start, like Jared said, we're just going to put a little bit of butter. And then we are going to add a little bit of acid. And I like to use a little bit of garlic. So it's a basic, simple saute, any type of vegetables.
Yeah.
Snow peas, green beans, anything really. You can kind of use the same kind of template. I like my spinach the same way, my chard the same way. So I guess that's it. Well, let's talk about the nutritional value. Well, I get this already. What kind of nutritional value do fiddleheads have?
They're probably up there with stinging nettle and spinach and those types of like dark leafy greens.
And dark leafy greens are great for your iron and all that other stuff. So that's
full of antioxidants, full of chlorophyll. So
perfect. So we grab about 3 or 4 tablespoons of butter, and we'll let that slowly melt in the pan. Then I'll grab a couple, 3 cloves of garlic. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the more garlic, the better. So
absolutely, anytime.
Grab it like that, and you'll notice the peel into your garlic. Like how you do is I just simply just slap it. The skin peels right off. And then when I mince it up, I don't want to mince it up too much. I just want to mince it up enough to just kind of almost come into like slivers, because I like to taste a little bit of the garlic into it, or feel some of the garlic. Some people like it to disappear.
I also understand if you crush it before you dice it, it does bring the flavor a little bit stronger, right?
Well, it does. It kind of releases the oil, right?
Yeah.
And then it brings it, you're right, to the surface here. So this pan's nice and hot. We're just going to drop the heat on it just a little bit, just like this. And then what I'm going to get you to do, Jared, is I'll get you this, give you the strainer right here. I will put these in just like that, and then I'm just going to let this get a little, just fragrance, so maybe 30 seconds. You really don't want to burn that garlic. So all you do is just kind of pop that in like that, and then whenever you're ready, sir, just fire those right in there.
There we go.
Just like that. So while that's sauteing, classic way is a little bit of apple cider vinegar, if you can have some. Today I've got a lovely lemon that's been sitting in my fridge longer than I'd wanted to, so we're going to use it today to just kind of add a little bit of acid. And acid kind of brightens the flavor of your fiddleheads.
Yeah.
Which is great. So when you're juicing anything, what you want to do is you want to kind of squeeze the fruit and make it nice and soft. That way you're going to get the lovely, you'll get more juice out of it that way. So you go, we'll just pop that like that.
That smells amazing.
It does. So far, so good, eh?
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll just kind of move those in the pan, and they don't need that much. I don't like bringing them crispy or anything like that. I just kind of like bringing them together. This. So we'll let these fiddleheads finish sauteing, and we'll be back after this short break.
Every year, dozens of Canadians are killed or seriously injured because they take risks around railway tracks. Talk to your loved ones about rail safety. Visit stoptracktragedies.ca.
baseball, there's nothing more important than making it home.
George Springer has tied the game.
Doesn't matter how you get there.
It's gone!
But I do it with style.
Boy, has he got some kind of power.
And a little swagger, too.
Because no matter where you happen to be,
what a play!
There's only one place.
Got it!
Jays fans call home.
Sportsnet. Sportsnet.
Sportsnet. Sportsnet, home of the Blue Jays.
Are you a content creator looking to expand your audience and make your voice heard in your community? Rogers TV wants to provide you with a platform to share your hobbies, interests, and stories for free. Visit us to find out more.
Welcome back to Easy Eats. Again, we are in our newly renovated kitchen down here in the Greener Village, and you should smell it. It smells wonderful here. And we're here with Jared, our avid forger. And yeah, so before we put some finishing touches on this, let's talk about preserving them. So how do we go about preserving them?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely pick more than you can eat at once. So what I do at home is I can them, actually. I find canning them to be very convenient because it pre-cooks them, and then you just pop the can open and warm them up, and they're ready to go. Because like I said, I like it the classic way, just cooked and served, steaming hot with some butter and vinegar. But you can do many things. Like I mentioned before, you can dehydrate them. That's one way to preserve them. They don't reconstitute like quite the same as when they're fresh, but you can use them just in a different way. Another great way is to freeze them. Now with any green, if you're going to freeze them, it's always a good idea to blanch them first to preserve their cell walls so that they don't go all soft and weird. But if you blanch them, you can freeze them like that, and then when you're ready to use them, you just cook them right up. You can cook them right from frozen and add a little bit of butter, and then they're ready in just a few minutes. You can also just cook them with butter and freeze them in a block of butter, and then you just pop them out and warm them up. So
Wonderful.
A lot of ways that you can preserve them.
Absolutely. And when you typically go out, how much do you usually harvest?
So it depends on how I'm feeling that day, but generally I would say I could probably pick 5 to 10 pounds an hour, and it all depends on how many are coming up. Typically what I find is that they don't all come up at once, so you'll get the early ones first, while most of the crowns haven't even emerged yet, and then over the next few days they slowly start coming up in different areas, depending on sun coverage, how warm it is. So you might find that you can pick 20 pounds in 1 hour if there's a lot in a small area. If there's less, then you just end up getting less. So.
Well, fantastic. So now the season, we're talking about the season. When is a typical season, or when are these guys usually starting to poke their heads out?
So usually around mid-May, when the lilies and the crocuses are coming up, when the daffodils are blooming, that's when you want to start looking for them. And the season can last anywhere from 5 days to 2 weeks. Like I said, it all depends on the sun that you're getting in your area, how warm it is. In a single day, they can grow 6 inches if it's warm enough, because once they come out of the crowns, they're basically just unfurling, so they can grow really fast. So if you get a few warm days, it can really shorten the season to just 5 days or a week. But if you have cool rainy days the entire time, it can go on much longer, 2 weeks, maybe even a little bit more. And they don't, like I said, they don't all come up at once. So sometimes you'll get out there and you'll only find a few, and then a couple days later, there's a ton of them, and that can go on for several days.
These are pretty much ready, and like I said, typically you put a little bit of white vinegar, a little apple cider vinegar. I really enjoy the freshness of a lemon, so all I'm going to do is wring this guy out, and then we're just going to pop that in there just like that, and I'll give them a quick I was kind of hoping to get that tossed, but no, maybe not. We'll give those a little bit of a stir like that. And I mean, that's pretty much it, Jared.
Yeah.
There we have it. It's super simple. You'll notice the garlic, I've got it slivered, so you get that nice kind of garlic along
crunch,
with
yeah.
the crunch. And then we'll do it the way I do it at home. You just grab your finger.
Sure.
Just grab it. You were fantastic.
That's good.
I usually do 1 feed a year, and I really, really enjoy them. But I know that here in New Brunswick, people enjoy them, and it's a great way to keep them in your freezer. It's a great way to enjoy summer or spring all season long, isn't it?
Yeah, especially with a nice poached salmon. It's a nice spring dish, yeah.
Poached salmon, piece of chicken, almost anything, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Other than helping me with foraging the property here at the Greener Village and teaching me all kinds of crazy new things, what exactly is your role here at the Greener Village?
So here at Greener Village, my role is social impact marketing. And what that means is making the impact that we do here in the food bank public knowledge, getting that word out there about the amazing programs that we have, about the difference that we're making in our community, connecting with potential volunteers, potential sponsors and donors and other community leaders to get them involved in food security and to understand our mission and to support us in that.
And that's fantastic. We used to joke before you became an employee here was we were the best kept secret in Fredericton, and now
not so much anymore.
Not so much anymore. No, people are stopping me at the grocery store and telling me that they are really enjoying the clips that we do and everything that we're doing. So great job, and thank you so much for being part of our team and for showing me all of these crazy wild edibles that I knew a little bit, but now I know a whole lot more.
Excellent. I'm so glad I could be helpful.
Perfect. Thanks a lot for joining me today.
Thank you, Chef.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
Smudging is a very important part in our life as we're all learning to walk the good way. When we smudge, we use the sacred medicine, the white sage, the sweetgrass, the tobacco, and the cedar. It cleanses negative energy and replaces it by a positive energy. When I smudge, I cleanse my end and my eagle feather and start cleansing my breath to have better words. I will smudge my eyes so I could see the better things offered to me. I will smudge my ears to hear the good thing that people have to say. I will smudge my hair to have good thinking from my head. I will bring the smudge to my feet so I could walk in respect with our Mother, the Earth. Smudging is the way we give our prayers to connect our spirit to the Creator. We express gratitude for the gift of life, the learning, and growth.
This is Rogers TV.
This is a brain in urgent need of mental health care. But because 3 out of every 4 Indigenous people experience racism in healthcare, she may not get the help she needs.